Welcome to Revenza Tales, where justice bites back. I used to believe weddings were woven from love, promises sealed in light. That illusion shattered with a single email, its subject line deceptively simple: final payment confirmation. But the attachment wasn't for my wedding. It was an invoice for a bridal gown, size 4, delicate lace, not my style, not my measurements. It was for my sister, Sophia. And the groom?
James. My fiancé.
The words burned into my screen, each pixel a betrayal. My hands shook, but I didn't cry. I stared until the letters blurred, willing it to be a mistake. But deep down, I knew, Sophia, my younger sister, had stolen the one thing I thought was mine. Sophia, with her golden curls and effortless charm, the girl who lit up rooms while I, Elizabeth Harper, stood in the shadows. 3 years older, I was the steady one, paying bills, planning family dinners, guarding secrets. Sophia collected attention like petals. I carried the weight of duty. And now, she'd taken James, my future, my heart. The betrayal wasn't just personal, it was a wound carved from years of being invisible. Our parents, Margaret and Thomas, always saw Sophia as the star, her laughter a melody they cherished, while I was the reliable backdrop, praised for practicality, not radiance. James had been my escape, my proof that I could be chosen. But Sophia, with her careless beauty, had claimed him, too. This wasn't a story where the boring sister faded quietly. This was the story of how I'd make them pay. I stayed silent at first, my face a mask. James still kissed my cheek at dinner, his text still ended with, "Good night, love." Sophia bubbled about helping plan your big day, her smile too bright, her eyes too knowing. I watched them, learning their rhythms. James left his phone on the counter while he showered, his passcode laughably simple, our anniversary date. Sophia's laptop sat unlocked on her desk, her trust and her charm blinding her to caution. I began collecting, each piece a stone for the fortress I was building. Screenshots of their texts, James writing, "Soon she'll be gone, and it's just us," Sophia replying with a string of hearts. Hotel receipts from nights he claimed were late meetings. Emails planning secret dinners, their words dripping with guilt and thrill. Each discovery was a brick, heavy with their betrayal, and I stacked them carefully, my anger cold and precise. The hardest part was the performance. Nights beside James, his arms slung carelessly over me, I imagined confronting him, letting rage spill. But revenge demanded patience, a blade sharpened in silence. I played the doting fiancé, laughing at his jokes, nodding as Sophia prattled about floral arrangements. I caught her glances at him, bold when she thought I wasn't looking, and I smiled, letting her believe she'd won. Patience, I told myself, would make their fall sharper. The opportunity came when Sophia suggested a joint bachelorette weekend. "It'll be a blast," she said, her voice all sugar.
Just us girls.
I agreed, my smile as false as hers. We rented a lakeside cabin in Wisconsin, the air thick with pine and the buzz of cicadas. The bridesmaids danced, wine flowing, fairy lights twinkling. I kept Sophia's glass full, urging her to let go, have fun. By midnight, she was swaying, her laughter loose. By 1, she stumbled onto the deck, phone pressed to her ear.
I followed, my own phone hidden, recording.
"James, stop it," she giggled, her voice slurred.
"She's right inside."
"I know, I love you too."
Click.
A dagger of evidence. When she staggered back inside, I tucked my phone away, my smile warm as I handed her water. Recordings and receipts were only the beginning. I needed something bigger, a public unraveling, a spectacle that would rewrite their story. If they meant to humiliate me, I'd turn their spotlight into a pyre. Back in Chicago, I wove my plan. I met the caterer, casually adding names to the guest list, reporters, a gossip blogger with a nose for scandal. At the florist, I forgot a flash drive labeled Wedding Slideshow. Inside, no music, just screenshots, texts, Sophia's drunken call. Someone would find it. Someone always does. The days to the wedding counted down like a fuse. James grew irritable, snapping at me for over-planning. Sophia grew reckless, slipping into rooms with him, their whispers careless. I kept my mask tight, my voice soft, my eyes sharp. The storm was building, and I was its architect. The wedding was set for a June Saturday at St. Michael's Cathedral, with a reception at the Drake Hotel, all elegance and excess. Behind the roses and satin, my plan took shape, a blade honed to perfection. The night before, James kissed my cheek, distracted, muttering about one last drink with the guys. I followed, my car a shadow in Chicago's neon glow. He didn't see me as he slipped into the peninsula's lobby, didn't notice when Sophia joined him, her hand brushing his with a lover's ease. I watched them vanish into an elevator, my heart pounding, not with pain, but with purpose. Tomorrow, their world would burn. At home, I opened Father's journal, its pages worn from years of wisdom. One line stood out, in his steady hand. The quiet ones are only forgotten until they roar. I closed it, my voice a whisper in the dark. Tomorrow I roar. The morning of the wedding broke with a cruel, radiant dawn. Sunlight poured through my Chicago apartment's curtains, mocking the storm inside me. Birds sang, church bells chimed, and my phone vibrated with texts, bridesmaids confirming makeup, vendors double-checking menus, my mother, Margaret, fretting over floral placements. To the world, it was a day of joy. To me, Elizabeth Harper, it was the day I'd bury their lies. Sophia swept into my room at 10, her silk robe loose, her golden hair catching the light like a halo. She carried 2 lattes, her smile syrupy, as if she weren't the bride-to-be in a secret wedding I'd uncovered. For my favorite sister, she chirped, handing me a cup. I took it, my fingers steady, my smile a mirror of hers. Thanks, Soph, I said, sipping the bitter brew. Her eyes scanned me, a flicker of smugness, as if she thought I was still blind to her affair with James. That arrogance nearly broke my resolve, nearly made me hurl the coffee at her perfect face. But I held back. The church was waiting. The stage was set. By noon, the bridal suite buzzed, hair pinned, dresses fastened, makeup flawless. Photographers swarmed, their lenses lingering on Sophia as much as me, her laughter bright, her poses effortless. She whispered jokes to James when she thought I wasn't looking, her hand brushing his arm. Margaret adjusted Sophia's veil, cooing about her beauty. Thomas, our father, straightened James's tie, his pride reserved for the man he thought I'd marry. I stood apart, a specter at my own wedding, my satin gown heavy with secrets. Inside, I was alight with anticipation. They had no idea what was coming. St. Michael's Cathedral brimmed with guests, its stained glass windows casting kaleidoscope light across oak pews. Family, friends, colleagues, Chicago's elite in tailored suits and glittering gowns, filled the air with murmurs of celebration. The organ swelled, the bridal march echoing off stone walls. I stepped forward, my veil trailing, each step a countdown. James stood at the altar, his smile polished, his eyes those of a practiced liar. Sophia, in her maid of honor dress, glowed near the front pew, her gaze locked on him, bold and possessive. Every smile from the crowd, every clap, twisted the knot in my chest. They'd know soon enough. The ceremony droned, readings, hymns, vows. James repeated the priest's words, his voice smooth, his eyes fixed on me as if he hadn't spent last night in Sophia's arms. When my turn came, I paused, letting the silence stretch, heavy and sharp. The congregation leaned forward, whispers rippling. James's brow furrowed. "Liz?" he murmured, his voice tight. I smiled, slow and deliberate, and spoke words that shattered the sacred air. "I can't marry a man who's already pledged himself to my sister." The church exploded. Gasps, murmurs, the rustle of dresses as heads turned to Sophia. Her face drained of color, then flushed scarlet, her head shaking wildly. James stammered, "What the hell are you talking about?" I faced the crowd, my voice clear. "Let me show you." I nodded to the tech booth, where the slideshow USB I'd swapped waited. The projector hummed, the screen flickering to life. No childhood photos, no engagement smiles, just betrayal, raw and undeniable. Screenshots flashed, James's texts to Sophia, "Can't wait till Liz is out of the picture." Her replies, heart emojis and promises. Hotel receipts from nights he claimed were work. Then Sophia's drunken voice, recorded at the bachelorette cabin, filled the cathedral. "James, stop, she's inside, but I love you too." Chaos erupted. Guests stood, shouting. Sophia sobbed, shaking her head. Margaret clutched her chest. Thomas cursed under his breath. James lunged for the projector, yelling, "Turn it off." Too late. The final image landed, a photo from last night, James and Sophia slipping into the peninsula's elevator, hands entwined. Proof, sharp as a blade.
Sophia wailed. It's not true.
The crowd's laughter was harsh, disbelieving.
James raked a hand through his hair, muttering, Christ, Liz.
I stepped closer, my voice a whisper for him alone. Smile, James. The cameras are watching. The priest stammered, trying to restore order, but the damage was done. Guests stormed out, others filmed, their phones capturing every second. A reporter, one-eyed, slipped onto the guest list, scribbled furiously, her eyes gleaming. I turned, my voice ringing. This wedding is cancelled. I dropped my bouquet on the altar, petals scattering like ash, and walked out, the congregation parting like a sea. The reception at the Drake Hotel went ahead, but it was a funeral for their lies. Guests arrived buzzing, gossip thick as champagne fumes. Sophia had fled, James hid in the bar, drowning in whiskey. Margaret and Thomas stood shell-shocked, their perfect family image shattered. I could have left, let the scandal simmer. But I had one final move. I tapped my glass, the chime slicing through the chatter. Every eye turned, the room hushing. Thank you for coming, I said, my voice honeyed. I know today wasn't what you expected. But the truth is out now, no more secrets. My tone sharpened. And if you doubt me, check your phones. While the church screen played, I triggered a scheduled email, a folder of evidence sent to every guest, every vendor, every family member. Screenshots, recordings, receipts, irrefutable, permanent. Phones lit up, gasps and curses filling the air. Some guests pitied me, others smirked, savoring the drama. James stormed in, face flushed, voice raw.
You're out of your mind, Elizabeth.
I tilted my head, calm as stone.
Am I? Or am I just done being your fool?
Sophia appeared, mascara streaking, pleading, Liz, please, stop this. But the fire was lit, and it was consuming them. I walked out, the night air cool against my skin, the chaos roaring behind me. For the first time in years, I wasn't the shadow sister. I was a flame, unforgettable. But revenge is never a single act. In the parking lot, my phone buzzed with missed calls. Margaret, Thomas, friends, strangers. James wouldn't forgive this public shaming. Sophia wouldn't forgive the loss of her perfect facade. My parents' silence would cut deeper than their words. I wasn't afraid. I had more evidence, more secrets, more moves waiting in the wings. They'd learn what I'd known all along. Never underestimate the quiet one. The night after the wedding, my phone buzzed like a hornet's nest. Guests sent apologies, some offered quiet support, others fished for gossip. But the silence from my family, Margaret, Thomas, Sophia, was louder than any message. I sat in my Chicago apartment, my wedding gown crumpled on the floor, wilted roses discarded like debris. Outside, laughter and clinking glasses echoed from another couple's celebration, untouched by betrayal. My wedding had been a spectacle, the scandal of the season. And the curtain was still rising. By Monday, Chicago's headlines screamed. Bride exposes fiancé's affair with sister at altar. Hopper wedding implodes in betrayal bombshell. Photos of me striding out of St. Michael's, veil trailing, bouquet abandoned, went viral. Memes quoted my words. I can't marry a man who's already pledged himself to my sister. It should have crushed me. Instead, it was freedom. James and Sophia were the ones sinking, not me. James's law firm cut him loose within days. Clients fled, unwilling to trust a lawyer plastered across gossip blogs. Sophia's marketing job evaporated, her boss citing reputational risk. Translation: no one wanted the sister who'd become a public disgrace. My parents, Margaret and Thomas, went silent, their anger aimed not at Sophia or James, but at me, for airing the family's shame. Their blame was a wound, but it only sharpened my resolve. A week later, I faced them at their Lincoln Park home, the house where Sophia and I grew up, where I'd always cleaned up her messes. Margaret's face was stone, her lips a tight line. Thomas stared at the floor, his jaw clenched. You've torn this family apart, Margaret said, her voice ice. Do you realize the damage? I laughed, sharp and bitter. Damage? Sophia slept with my fiancé. James lied for months. But I'm the problem for telling the truth. Thomas's eyes met mine, hard as flint. You humiliated us. The whole city's talking. I swallowed the ache in my throat. You raised a daughter who betrayed me and expected me to stay silent. I'm done with that. Margaret's voice dripped venom. You've always been jealous of Sophia. That was the breaking point. I stood, my chair scraping the hardwood. You deserve her, I said. Don't call me when her life falls apart, or yours. It will. I walked out, the door slamming like a gavel. Revenge isn't one strike, it's a storm, building slow and relentless. James tried to fight back a month later, suing me for defamation, claiming I'd ruined his career. His lawyer's letter demanded millions. I smiled, ready for the move. My evidence wasn't just texts and photos, I had financial records. Payments James made to Sophia's rent, gifts that could be spun as bribes in court. I countersued, and when the documents leaked, his image crumbled further, a cheating fiancé funding his lover, his fiancé's sister. Clients severed ties, his family distanced themselves, his polished reputation reduced to ash. Sophia tried to rebuild, posting yoga selfies and new chapter captions online. But the internet was merciless. Comments flooded. Sister stealer. James's side piece. Betrayer. Every photo was dissected, every smile mocked. I almost felt pity, until I remembered her voice, slurred and laughing on that cabin deck, saying she loved him, dismissing me as nothing. Pity burned away. 6 months later, my parents called, their voices no longer cold but desperate. Sophia's falling apart, Margaret said, her voice breaking. I heard Sophia's sobs in the background, James's shouts, a toxic mess unraveling. Their true love was rotting, exposed as lust and lies. Please, Thomas said. Talk to her. She respects you. I nearly laughed. Respects me? She never did. Neither did you. Silence stretched, then Margaret whispered, she'll destroy herself. I pictured Sophia's smug smile, James's careless kisses, the years I'd been their shadow. She already has, I said and hung up. The final act wasn't loud, no courtroom drama, no public spectacle. It was quiet, surgical. I moved to Minneapolis, took a new job in finance, built a life free of their weight. But I left a parting gift. A final folder, James's shady client deals, Sophia's forged signatures on gifts, sent anonymously to the Illinois State Board. If James tried to rise again, they'd block him. If Sophia reached for redemption, her name would stay tied to fraud. Margaret and Thomas never knew it was me. Let them blame a rival, a disgruntled client. It didn't matter. I wasn't just leaving, I was leaving them in ruins. Revenge isn't always fire and chaos. Sometimes it's silence, the certainty that they'll feel your shadow every time they falter. James lost his career, Sophia her reputation, my parents their illusions of a perfect family. And me? I gained freedom, sharp and unyielding. One evening, I stood on my new balcony, Minneapolis's skyline glittering below, a glass of Pinot in hand. The air smelled of coming rain, the city alive with promise. I wasn't the dutiful sister, the quiet fiancée, the invisible one anymore. I was the storm they never saw. As thunder rolled, I whispered, never again. What will the next tale of vengeance unleash? Who will rise? Who will fall? Smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell for more Revenza tales, where betrayal meets its match. Drop a comment. What would you do to reclaim your stolen heart? See you in the next story.